Hello. Hello. I'm getting better at the situation with the music now. Turn the music down, turn the mic on before I even bring my face up. We're getting there. We're getting there. We can only improve. Surely I can't get worse at streaming, right? I actually am getting better at getting the notifications ready as well. I've been posting on everything. I don't know anywhere else I could post. I do think, I don't know if this is just me remembering random stuff, but I feel like I remember YouTube having stories and they don't exist for some reason. Am I crazy? I feel like they used to be a thing. Like I can share a post, but not story, right? Yeah, there's no stories, it's just posts. Did they have stories before they had posts? I feel like I'm remembering that wrong. Almost feels like I made that up. I wouldn't be surprised. But I could have sworn like in fact, wasn't there like stories on Twitter as well at one point? Because they're definitely not a thing again. There's so many things I feel like I made up on social media, but I feel like it's because they just scrapped things after trying it for like a week. And then they were just like, we don't like it. Got used to it, take it away. We just normalize, like introducing stuff, just leaving it. That would be nice. That would be nice, thank you. Plus, just having stories on every social media works so much better, in my opinion. I don't really like to bombard with like posts if I don't need to, but if I don't tweet it, it's not going anywhere on Twitter. So can't really do anything about that. So I have to tweet it. But like on Instagram, if Instagram didn't have stories, I'd have to post every time I went live. I don't like the idea of that, right? That doesn't seem very good. To post Instagram every time I go live probably used to be a thing. I'm not gonna lie, when people were streaming way back when, but doing that now, that just seems annoying. To be like, oh, I'm live again, by the way, just like I was yesterday. It's the same post you're seeing. Like, I know some people don't post like I do, but I recently realized it was probably easier to do that, right? If someone sees my story, they can be like, oh, it's the going live notification. I was like, yeah, that makes more sense, right? So imagine doing that on Instagram every single day, like the same post every day. That'd become a bit cluttered. I mean, you could delete it and repost it every day, but I feel like that would just be bad for engagement too. I just feel like without stories, social media is just weird now. But that's why I feel like YouTube needs it. I know we have the community posts, but I'm just not sure the community posts are the same thing. I feel like community posts are different. I don't want to post on YouTube every time I go live, right? But I think a story would be nice. Here, we don't have that. So we have to just not post on YouTube. But luckily, it's not really the place I think people are gonna find it. I think it's only subscribers that see YouTube posts. I think it is. So I rarely see them, so it must be. Must be. Oh no, we don't need to post on YouTube. It's okay. It's okay. We already posted pods on YouTube. We don't need to do anything else there yet, unless they do decide. If they do decide to make it a thing, I'll do it. I will do it. But yeah, today I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what we're doing. I had originally not planned to stream today, but what we didn't do yesterday could be what we do today. But they still haven't taken the frog thing out. And I'm kind of like, do I do the frog thing or do we do quests? Because I do need to get the relic stuff done. I did log back on last night for like 10 minutes. And I did the second bag of illusion. So we did that. We did that. Finally, we did it. Hello, boy. Hello. Go exploit whilst you can. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We are at 1,000,000 though. Right now. Well, 999,999. But so far, I don't know. I'm kind of like, don't hit the player. Yeah. I'm like, we did it yesterday. We weren't supposed to. We were supposed to be doing quests and finding like the furniture and donating to the furniture so we had furniture because I haven't done any of it yet. But we did 3 hours of frog hunting instead. And stream ran over because of it. So I don't know what to do. Get them frogs? Should I? I think we need to go buy stuff first because I have too much money. But I'm also worried that every day we do this frog thing, the Singularity 6 is going to be like, yeah, we're taking servers down. We're going to get rid of it. And I'm going to be halfway through doing it and have not sold them. And I'm going to log back in and the frogs are going to be worth like 10. And I'm just going to have like 60,000 frogs and they're not worth anything in comparison, right? And I'm going to be annoyed because I didn't know that the people that did the cake pies, apparently you guys got spoiled food. When you guys logged in after they patched it, all of the cakes that you made in those cake pies turned to like spoiled food. Like, that seems a bit harsh, right? I feel like that's a bit harsh. I don't know what they're going to do. Ew, exactly. They completely just were like, yeah, let's just ruin it. Hello? Why would you do that? That's so mean. But I don't know, what would they do with the frogs? If that's what they do with cakes, what are we going to get with frogs? Are they going to turn them into, I have no. What do we get? Like, I have no idea what they're going to do. Make the frogs extinct? They are going to be pretty much. That's the thing. I think these frogs are the rarest frog as well, right? I think they're still going to be 400 and however much they cost to sell. They're still going to be worth hunting for them, but they're not going to be easy to find. So, hello, Jack. You've always got a good entrance. Need to get on there to exploit. Oh, what time are you getting on? I get worried because they typically do patch notes. I keep saying that. Typically they do, what is it? They do hot fixes and stuff at like 5 or 6-ish. Well, I'm a little nervous. Every time I'm streaming, I'm like, it's 3 o'clock. How long have we got till they patch it? I'm scared. Maybe we do it though. Maybe we go and do, what do I need? We gotta buy some stuff. I just don't know what to buy. And by the way, I have no storage. So we need to go through and figure out what I don't need. Because I put stuff in my crafters and I still have like no storage. So that's fun. I filled up all of my seed makers, all of my like, maybe I could put some seeds in the seed makers as well. Like the already pre-made ones. Just put them in there. That might help. I have no idea what to do. I don't know what to buy. Do I just buy like houses and things? I love how quirky you've been recently with the sleeve hanging off your shoulder. I do this all the time. I wear a cardigan. I'm not wearing it normal. I'm wearing it like this. Okay. It's like, look at this. Look at this. This looks boring. This looks comfy. I like it. When I wear cardigans out of the house all the time. So like, if it's a big cardigan like this, it has to be slouchy. It just looks weird otherwise. Right? It's not supposed to be worn normal. I have little cardigans that like I have to wear normal, but like not like this. Look like you belong in Slytherin with it. I am not Slytherin. Can you guess what I am? I'm not Slytherin. My mum is. I did the sorting hat for her and she is Slytherin, but I'm not. You can probably guess which one I actually am. It's not the hardest thing to realize. You're a Hufflepuff. Yep. Is it obvious enough? I fit so well. I think me and Luna would be good friends. Fits so perfectly. Plus yellow is one of my favorite colors, so it works well. But yeah, I think we're gonna go into the game. And we're gonna go and see what I can sell. Let's see if Tony's on, because Tony seems to be great for giving items that I do not have. It's very good at supplying things that I don't have. So we'll see. So is Les actually. Les is great with the requests, and then Tony's great for being like the person in the group that always has the thing I need. Okay. Let's go home first. And let's see who's online, if anyone's on. Usually there is, but I don't know. I didn't see anyone on this morning either, so we will see. Okay, we have Verin and Dan is on. Okay, we have a couple of people online. We'll see. We'll see if anyone wants to play. I don't know if I have... Do I have the materials to make? Let's see if I have the materials to make Liz or not. If not, we can go there and just see if anyone has them. Oh. I have gold bars. Wait, they're in my crafter. Let's go get them. Which one are they in? It's like roulette. I have no idea which one they're in. This one? Yeah, okay. So we actually do have enough to make Liz then. I don't think we need to leech off anyone else. Let's see. Obviously, I don't really want to make them. Wait. Never mind, I can't make them. I was like, I have apples. No, I do not. But I can't even sell these because I have too much money. I can sell like maybe one. In fact, I can't even really do that. Yeah, 2. I can sell about 2. And that's it. So oh god, I don't know what to do then. I'm gonna leave them there. And then that means I don't have any apples. Oh wait, we need to put that back in the crafter because I just don't have space for this. Look at this. I have 600 space right now. This is ridiculous. I don't know what to do. They're not giving me much choice either. Oh, we have to put it in there and then put it in here. Such a weird system. Yeah, I do not have much. Let's put that in there too. It's like, I don't know what to do about it. I have all of this full. I have... Oh, we need to go and do some ogre food hunting or something because I don't have any food that I really want to put in here. I don't really have anything I want to use. So that kind of sucks, but it's fine because we can't do anything with this anyway. I can't sell this. I can't do anything. This is completely full. This is pretty much... I'm going to keep putting the stone in here, actually. Everything's full. And, like, look how much Elderwood and ancient wood I have. It's crazy. I've seen people being like, why is no one doing, like, Elderwood anymore? And I'm thinking... We all farmed it for like 2 weeks straight, so now we don't need it. No one needs it. Just kind of terrible. Not gonna lie. Okay, let's just put all of this. All of these seeds in here. Like, I don't need them. Right? Like, I don't need them. There's no point in me having them in my inventory. I might as well put them all in here and then just like... We have more room. So I do have quite a lot. Okay, we'll leave that then. How much should that give me? Oh, that give like 500. We've gone down 500. Because the only thing is I need to spend money so that I can go and do the frogs. Right? Like I can't do anything with the frogs. I can't sell them until I've spent money. I'm like... so confused. How are people doing this? Where's the logic? What do I buy? I am thinking the one thing I could probably do with buying is like houses and stuff. Maybe that could work. Okay, I can sell this like 2 weed. These 2 weeds. 3. 30 gold. How much does it cost for another house? Look, all these houses. We bought 4 plots. 175, that is it. I bought loads of silk yesterday. How much should I buy? There's some in my crafter, I think, too. Look, I don't even need to buy silk. Like, it's just, like, stupid. So I'm kind of like, I don't know what to buy. If I buy another plot, maybe we go to town hall. And we see what Maybe I want. Because we don't need crafting licenses anymore. We can't buy anymore. As much as that sucks, we can't buy anymore. And I don't really need any more housing plots. Maybe I could buy a couple more because I think there's achievements at 10. Why did I do this? I could have done the fast travel. I'm still forgetting. It's been a whole week with a fast travel board and I'm just completely forgetting still. Still forget I have it. Also, I changed my skin. Because I was kind of like... I decided, wait, let me go into here actually and do this. Because I actually forgot to put them on. Here. I like made a couple of them because I was like, oh, they're cute. I don't know what this one is. But I kind of thought it was cute, so... I've just got like a bunch of like the same skins. I just like... I thought it would be fun to have like this. This is... I thought it was funny but also cute at the same time. This is from the Founders Pack, I think. It's one of the, I think this is supposed to like... Is it like a magic skill? Is that what it's supposed to be? We don't even have a skill though. That's the weird thing. It doesn't even come with a skill. I thought we were going to get a new skill. We have a new shop, but not a new skill. Technically. I guess you could class it as everything, because everything's to do with the magic, but this is like not my kind of an outfit, but yeah. I did loads of the fairy ones with like the butterfly even. With the horns, because I thought that it was nice and bright. Ooh, I like this one. This one's cute. I felt like I was blended in too much. Maybe we'll take it off because I feel like it's kind of annoying me, but we'll see. Okay, let's go to town hall. Wait, do I need to fix anything? I need to make a new bag. Okay, I need to do that. Don't forget. Don't forget. Okay. I don't know how many of these I have. I didn't check, but I know I have a harvest house because I haven't put that down. No, the grand harvest house. I have 2 of these put down. I think. Yeah, 2 of these. And then my main one has a couple of houses off it, like rooms off it. I do have 1 grand harvest house, so I haven't used it. I used it. I kind of decorated the outside and then got rid of it. But the only reason we even wanted to do the frog thing to begin with, really, for me personally, is the gazebo. The gazebo, because how cute is this? Like, I've seen people decorate with it and it looks so nice. So I was like, we'll do it for that. But I bought like 3 of them. So I don't know if I need any more of them. Maybe we just buy like some rooms, right? And then I can build on other plots. Because I want to decorate plots for different seasons. Not going to happen anytime soon. It ain't. But hey, you're rich? I've done like probably a total of like 10 hours worth of frogs now. Most of it was off stream, but I did like 3 hours. 3.5 hours, I think it was yesterday. The whole of yesterday's stream was supposed to be questing and we did frogs. But like you say, you've got to take advantage. So I'm just going to buy like a couple of them. Right? Just a couple. And then maybe I should honestly buy like a couple more. I have nothing else to buy. And these don't take up storage space, right? They're just like whatever. So I'm just buying stuff. Might as well, you know? I don't know how many of these I have, but like, hey, it's fine. There's nothing else down here I care about. I do not care about these building blocks much. So I'm not going to buy them. They're kind of ugly, I'm sorry. I don't like the iron or the copper or the stone. I'm like, eh. I like the wood because the wood I can use inside. And it looks really cute. But like, I don't want gold building blocks. And they could have given us some new wallpapers and stuff this time. But I don't think they did. That kind of sucks. Now that I think about it. Have we bought enough? No. Okay. We'll leave it at that for now. We'll leave it at that for now. Wait. Oh yeah, we need to make a new pouch. A new bag. Yeah. How much you making per frog run? Yesterday I went from 800k up to 1 million, and then we went, well, nearly 1 million. And then I bought a bunch of stuff. And then I went down to like 400k and we went up to 1 million again before I ended stream. So in a 3-hour time period of just doing that and coming back and forth between my house, we made about maybe 600, 700k. Which is ridiculous, but you know. Okay, wait. Blueprints. Okay, there we go. I need to get on. You do. As soon as you can, I would get on. Okay, right now, this is what we've bought. We have 2 conservatories, plus the one on my plot. We have 3 grand harvest houses, 2 harvest houses, 6 hallways, 2 windows. I probably should have bought more of those. 2 courtyards, 3 large rooms, 3 medium rooms, 2 pavilions, 3 small rooms, 4 gazebos. Why have I not put one of these down? Hello? I should build this. And then we have 2 windmills. I wonder what this takes to build. Do I even have it? Oh, it's pretty already without, like, can we get this without the actual gazebo as well? Do I have it? Damn it, my light bulbs are in the crafter. Of course they are. Of course they are. Oh, and I haven't picked this yet. Yeah, it's not even... It's not even worth picking. I'm not getting any floor trees anymore. It's bugging me. The statue was just like, ah. Nah. Nah. Okay. We can do that. Sick. Oh, it looks beautiful. This is so pretty. Like, just leave it like this. 35 minutes. When we come back, you're going to be built. And you're going to look beautiful. And then we can decorate around it. But we have so much. I did only get like 500k because I'm a bit worried about it all. What do we need to make bombs? I just realized. Smoke bombs. Smoke bombs. No, I can't make them. Can I make the other ones? Before I go? I'm at that quest area in a temple and have to collect a load of rare items. Oh god. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. Oh wait. Wait. Google has been my friend. Honestly, if you're struggling at all, there's I have a command for PALIA resources. And it has all the sites I recommend. It literally, I did the entirety of the bundles and all of the main story quests within a month. Everything. And those websites 1000% helped. It's resources. Yes, it works. The only way I could separate it was with the mushrooms. So that's the only way I could do it. Hopefully the links work and they're like helpful because they are really good. Thanks, no problem. They're great. Use them to your advantage. Some of them are better than others, but they're definitely worth using. I think there's a couple of similar things on there. So like, you know, like I think I only put one of the map sites on there because one of them's more updated than the other one. I don't believe the person that makes the PALIA maps site, like the actual PALIA map site, I don't think they're active anymore. Which is a shame because I was in a group with them and they were really sweet. So it's all good. I have a rummage. I'll have a rummage for sure. Yes, definitely do. A small mesh bag filled with various herbs disguised as essence. There's one directly in... Oh, insects as well. We don't need these anymore. Okay. We're leaving the bombs. We're going to go to Seki's and buy some instead. And then I think I'm going to try and go to Elderwood and see if anyone's there. If there's no one there, we're kind of done for, because imagine I just did all that and no one is doing it. Although yesterday I didn't have any lures and it was like a random person on the server and I think Tony and someone else that were putting down the lures and the whole server was there, so I don't think we'll have a problem with it. I think we will be fine. Hopefully we're fine. Hopefully. We'll see. gonna go buy the bombs though. And I'll make my way over there. Worst case scenario, I just keep like joining friends' servers and seeing who. Yeah, I just realized something. I have to go back home after this because I forgot to make the bag. Damn it. Okay. Yeah, you just like keep joining other people's servers that you're friends with so you can find a big party of people. I think it's the easiest way because if you rejoin a server by just leaving and coming back, I don't think it does anything. And then it just puts you in the same one again. But the chances are you will be put in the same server again by just joining another person's server. Maybe. But you know. I think it tells you actually before you do. Okay. We are full up. Oh wait, I can keep buying them. I just realized they just go back home. Didn't even think of that. But yeah, let's go and make the bag and then go to Elderwood. We've spent like 300 gold just like the last 5 minutes trying to go back and forth to my house. Difficult. Also, I'm sat really odd. I don't know why I'm sat like squiffed. My mic's like... That's pretty okay actually. I feel like I'm sat like this. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Bag. We go down. We need to get that out of my freaking crafter. I hate the idea that I have to have things in a crafter because I have no space. That it ruins things. It's really annoying. To go back and forth. It's a good job I don't have a really big plot. I have all the things unlocked, so it is big. But I haven't decorated a full thing yet. Thankfully. Okay. We are back up. And honestly, I'm gonna bring food. I'll bring food, just one food, but I don't think I'm gonna bring anything else. Because I don't really need to. We're gonna go. Let's see if anyone has it. I unfortunately, if I had apples, I would have made at least a couple of those, but... Oh, in fact... Oh, he just brought me back. Oh, where's Arnie? Let's go find Arnie. We can buy some from him. I would much rather do that. I feel horrible. Being like someone that leeches off everyone else's resources, I'm like, does anyone have any? I feel terrible. I'm like, no, I'll do anything to make my own. I left the camera again. Why is my encoder doing that thing again? I think we're fine, but... it's a little bit annoying. Keep saying it's overloaded, but do I have too much on my OBS? Maybe that's the problem. Do I have too many things on my OBS? Do I have too many scenes and too many sources? Maybe that's why. Maybe I should look at that. Okay, honey Liz. I have 545. I'm literally gonna buy out. Yeah, I can buy 7. That's really good. I'm actually very happy with that. Okay. Now that we've done that, we can actually go and be useful. Let's go. See if there's a group. Hello. Okay. We did it. We're fine. We have 7. We can be contributive. Contributions. I just feel terrible. Like, the other day, obviously, I spent like 10 all in one go and nobody, like, cared. I was like, oh, okay. But that's how it feels when everyone else does it and you don't. I'm like, I feel terrible. In fact, did I already buy Bag of Illusion 3? Yes. So we need Angelfish, Elderwood Lotus, and Pallian Bit. I can probably make that. Does it? I don't think you actually have to have the things on you, I don't think. No, you don't. So I need an angelfish, and I need 3 more of those. I could probably request the beta fish. Honestly, just cause I'm being lazy. I have frogs to catch. They're not really all that hard to find, but I don't think I can request an angelfish because if I don't have one, it's because I literally haven't caught one yet. So we'll leave that one. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll just catch it. As long as I do it in the right place. Okay, where am I going? Because I went the wrong way this morning. There's no one here. Okay, we need to fast travel then. Let's go between servers. Is anyone on a different server to me? No. This is my server and none of my friends are... No one's online. No. There's no one here. How many people are on the server though? Anyone want to do frogs? I have 7. Okay, we'll wait a minute too. See if anyone shows up. If not, we can go and do some fishing and try and find the thing. I'm just a bit worried now because I spent all the money. And now I only have half of the money I had, so I'm a little bit scared now. What do I do? Yeah, I'm like, oh, no one's here. Where are they all? I think the people will start to show up though, like on their own, like account because it's getting to that time of day. At least in the UK, it's like 20 to 4. So it's kind of the time where if kids are playing, they're going to be on now. And a lot of parents might be playing too. So the majority of the server of the game, should I say, people should be coming on. Also, these frogs, look how goofy they look. What is this guy doing? His like legs were sticking out. They keep bugging. I think it's funny. No one's coming. Are we done with the frogs? Did I mess up? Should I have not done that? Are any of the streamers doing them? Because that's like a question, right? Like, if they're still doing them, then people are doing them. Okay, she is not. Are we doing it? No. Oh no. Oh no. Did we mess up? We might have messed up. No one's doing it. No one's doing it. Okay. We leave the server and go to another one. Wait, no one. Wait, did that not? Oh no, there it is. It did send. I was like, did it just send us? Does anyone want to? I was like, does anyone want to what? Okay, I'm probably just gonna try and find the angelfish then. Where do we find the angelfish? I wonder if the PALIA wiki's been updated yet. I say this every stream, but I genuinely am just like... I'm obsessed with the PALIA wiki. I just like, I want it. I want it to be updated. The server has a moral compass. Honestly, like, where are you all? What are you all doing? You're all too cute and innocent. Like, stop. Come and do the glitches, please. Angelfish. Yay, it's on. Okay. Biome. Elderwood fresh water. Okay. Glowworm. 3 AM to 6 AM. Looks like we're not doing it yet. Because it's like 4 PM. We can keep that up though. There was nothing else I needed. There wasn't anything else I needed because I already have everything else. That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. I don't know what else to do then. This like these people are looking for a group, but they're not joining. Can I copy something? Do I have to type it again? Why am I talking to myself? I'm just gonna put it again. Anyone want to do rocks? Smiley face, because I don't want to be mean. Like, please join me. I'm not gonna scream at you, but like, please. Please, I need more money. I just spent it all. Okay, otherwise we're gonna have to just go to another server. Maybe, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I see a person. Do you want to do frogs? You seem to be bug hunting. Maybe we could do frogs. Do you want to do frogs? There's like harassing everyone. You can do it solo or do less frogs appear. More frogs seem to appear, in my opinion, because you're on your own. And if you're on your own, it's harder to catch them. If you're in a group of like three other people, they catch them, you get the loot they catch. You catch them, they get your loot. And if you have relics as well, it gives you extra loot. So it's like, I can do it myself. I just don't want to. It's more fun with other people. But I have realized that if I do it, more people show up. So maybe I should just do it. Oh no. I'm down. Yay. Okay, I'll let them, okay, what are they called? Gimballs. Invite them to a pie. You in a pie? If you're in a pie, that's even better. I'll just like... I was in a pie? Oh, they're already in a pie. Oh, bring a pie with you, please. Bring multiple people. That's one person. That's better than nothing. I'd rather do it with other people around me because it feels less overwhelming. W Jimbles. Where I'm also down. Where am I? F9. F9. Okay, we have like 2 people. That's better than no one, right? I gotta get into a comfy position. What was the other person's name? Cozy Alice! We have a twin! We have a twin name! Daisy and Alice. Let's see. Daisy. Alice. Cozy Alice, though. Okay, they're not in a party. So, Cozy Alice. Okay, Cozy Alice is already one, but this other person isn't. If they join, that's so good. They joined! Nice. So we're waiting for 3 people. One person's here. They might be with the other person that's already in a party, actually. And then we have this person. Wait, did I mark something or did they mark something? Hi. Your pet's so cute. Okay, are we waiting for one more person? Who said? Jimbles, Daisy, and Alice. Okay. I think we might be waiting for one more person. Jimbles! Hello! Okay, I can start whenever. If we all collect. Or are we waiting for people? Are we waiting for people and I wasn't told? Okay, that's 2, 3. You coming? We're cutting all the trees down. I think we're cutting all the trees down. I think is that all of them? Oh, there's no tree. Hello? Nope, I don't think I'm coming over. Should I just put it down? You know what? I'll wait for this tree. And then... Okay. I think I'll just put it down. They can join in then. There we go. Okay. So we need to get rid of these ones. And then we throw them out. Because they're not worth anything. They're not worth a thing. Oh yeah, I also forgot, if you're in a party, you get double loot. So it's like worth doing it for the double loot and for everything else as well. It's like just worth doing it together. You can form a party with a random person, it is so much more worth it. Frogs spawned! Let's go. Another person! Yay! We had a big group, I love it. I love it. It was so much funny yesterday. It was just so hectic. There was like, what, 15, 20 people all stood here at once. I'm pretty sure it was the majority of the server that was full of just like the one group. So we'll see how long it takes until I need to go home. And we'll see how much I make. And then I can sell everything and we can do some quests. Depends how long it takes though. But I don't know how long it's going to be until they take it out. That's what's annoying about it. I think they're leaving it in. And it's like, while it's in the game, it's so tempting to just do it. And that's a bad thing. It's not a good thing at all. I'm very tempted to just keep doing it while it's in the game. And I don't want to. I want to have free will of just doing quests. But the game's like, no. I'm gonna feel so poor after this is patched. I'm gonna have no money. It's gonna be awful. Like, I can't buy anything anymore. No, I'm kidding. I'll try and keep up with it. With, like, I'll try and keep up with it with the other forms of income. Like my jam and my seeds. Okay, these guys are stubborn. Oh yeah, what we need to do is actually go find the fish. So maybe if we make enough, we go do that, and then we can do quests after that. Either way. Either way, we're gonna make a lot of money and get a lot of nice things. It's a good job that in this game, you don't spend money on clothes that's in-game money, right? I feel like, can you imagine if you could use in-game money to get clothes? People would be going crazy right now. Everyone would own everything. Oh, I was supposed to put that down. It's fine, it worked. We didn't pick up all the frogs. Haha. If you leave the frogs down and then put the lure down, that's how you do it, I think. Otherwise, it doesn't spawn frogs, it spawns butterflies again. Which we don't want. We don't want butterflies. They're not worth it. They don't give it that much. They're actually worth it in the normal economy. But, like, not in this economy. This economy, everything's useless except for the frogs. It's ridiculous. Also, we need to spend essence. I have 30k. I don't know about anyone else, but I have 30k essence. It's ridiculous. Zero reason for it. Zero reason. I don't even know why I haven't spent any yet. Let me show frogs and the butterflies. I missed that. Basically, you don't want to pick up all the frogs when you put the lure down. You want to keep like a frog or two down, I think. I don't know if there's like a number to it. But as long as someone hasn't picked up all the frogs, then you put the lure down before they pick them up. It makes sure all the frogs spawn again. Otherwise, it just takes a couple of butterflies for them to spawn. A bit annoying, but it's still fine. It doesn't matter too much. But yeah, just put the lure down before you pick all the frogs up. You can pick some up, obviously, but just, like, leave some. I think the people that are doing it will be the ones that know that anyway, so if there's anyone that are doing it instead, you don't have to worry about it. Just try not to pick them all up. It doesn't take too long for them to spawn. It's actually not bad. Honestly, this time it only took, like, maybe 10 butterflies? That's it. So not bad. Hello? You just started. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted. You're insane. You're insane. Thank you so much. You gifted my mum a sub. My mum got a sub in that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. They're all gonna come through separately for some reason. I don't know why it does that. If any of you guys are here, please say thank you. You're very helpful. I try, but I don't believe I am. Oh my. Thank you again, though. I really do appreciate that. I applied for something actually last night. It's like a career thing. And they were like, describe your community. And I was like, they are the nicest people. I also said we like to yap. So there was that, but I did say you guys were really nice. Yeah. They were like, describe your community. I was like, well, my community is full of really great people, but we absolutely love to yap for like hours. Oh, shoot. Shoot, I'm distracted. I'm distracted. I'm forgetting about the lures. Frogs and lures. No, frogs and subs. Two very distracting things. Oh. I'm doing it again. I'm getting distracted. Oh, I was just checking we were actually still using the right bombs as well. No. This boy's been annoying. Damn it. Come on. Give me my money. Oh. They don't want to be caught. I think PALIA really said to the frogs like, hey guys, don't let them catch you, right? Don't let them do it. Oh, I'm not in a party anymore. No, I'm not in a party. Why am I not in a party? Wait, let's try this one. Is this person in one? No. They are not. And I believe they are accepting it. Hopefully. Maybe. Maybe I'm in a party. I think I am in a party. I think it just like left the... It glitched. I think. I'm not sure. Oh well. We'll see. I think I just got double loot. Actually, I think I am still fine. Yeah, I'm fine. We're all good. It's just worth being in a party because you... Oh. You, get double loot. Which, obviously, if we're trying to make money, double loot is probably the best thing. Oh, let's just use these up. I don't need them anymore, right? I don't even need them. Now that I have the bag of illusion, too. I can do what I want. What do the other bag of illusions do? I'm not aware of what they do. I didn't even know that they, like, had 5. Why is there 5 of them? A little bit weird if you ask me. 5 different upgrades? I have no idea what they do. Because, like, one is forage, 2 is forage and bugs. And then there's forage, bugs, and hunting. Forage, bugs, hunting, fish. What's the other one? Trees? Or is that classed as forage? Hey, if we make enough money, we'll find out. I gotta make the money back before I even think of going and doing it. Oh, no, no. Oh, I thought let me put 2. I was gonna cry. Don't let me put 2. Stop it. Stop. Thank you. Like, no. Stop. Hype chest? What did we get? What did we get? Oh, cute. Okay. The oh my god, my brain's fried. The emotes. That's the word. The emotes that you get in these hype trains now are so cute. I was in the hype train earlier and it was like a cute frog one. I was like, hello? The ones I get in these hype trains recently have been so cute though. I love them. Okay, there's not that many people here right now. Is this normal for this time of day? I feel like there's only, what? How many is there? 3 of us? Yeah. Oh, they're gone. Okay, yesterday we had like 15, 20. I don't know. Oh. Oh, I wasn't even aware that it wasn't saving it. I wasn't even aware it was doing that. I would rather it be like a monthly thing, if I'm honest, but I just don't know how to. How do I even change it? How do I change it? Do I do it in... No. Subscriptions? Leaderboard. I can't remember, neither can I. If I can find out, I'll change it to monthly because I feel like doing it per stream isn't really all that great. I feel like if you've gifted like more than once in different streams, I want it to show it. You know? Most people I think do monthly. Yeah, I would rather do monthly. It feels more rewarding, like you're gifting subs. Like I don't want it to just be like a stream thing. One stream. You know? It's like the one thing you get from gifting subs is like your name on the leaderboard, and I feel like I didn't realize that. The thing is, like, I didn't even think about these things because it wasn't something I thought was gonna happen. And now they happen, and I'm like, now I'm panicking. I set it up. Wait, this guy's bugged. Hello? But yeah, I will change that to a monthly thing. As long as I remember, I'll do it. I just gotta remember it. Okay, once I run out of lures, I'll put it on a list, or we'll literally just do it. See if anyone puts any more of these down. Hopefully it like saves it. I'm assuming it'll just like save all the data from it. Ooh, ad start in 3 minutes. Apologies. Apologies. Though some of you probably do have subs now. So we don't really have to worry about it. Also, I think one of those subs was for Viren, which is nice, because they joined the stream, I think, yesterday or Monday. I think it was Monday. Oh. I need to pick some of these up. They're gonna disappear. Don't want them to despawn. Put all my work and effort into this. I don't want to lose out. How many are we at? Oh. I'm gonna have so much essence, it's gonna be ridiculous. Like, I was like, oh, I can't find much essence. It's not that easy. But then, like, this happens. No, I can gift you. I have loads. I can send some. I have loads. I'm fully stocked up. You can get a couple more then. Are they requesting that? I don't remember who it was. Who was it? Okay, how many is there per server though? Is there like a limit to how many people can request? It's quite a few requests right now. These guys are happy you helped them. Yeah. Feels good. Feels good that I actually bought them. I was like, I'm not gonna buy any. I'm just gonna go and like, see if everyone else has any or not. Are they requesting them? Oh, I do have some of those. I do have some of those. Is anyone else? Is everyone else out of bombs? I feel like loads of people are just running out of these bombs. I feel like people... We need to just go and, like, send them all. Give them all to Zeki. Oh. Shoot! Shoot! I have one more. 2 more. I have 2 more. Wait, how many things do I actually have now? I have enough to buy 1 more. Maybe after we do this, we'll see how much we have. And then we'll see if anyone else puts one down. And then I'll see how much I made. And maybe we'll go and do productive stuff instead of making money. I haven't done anything productive in this game for like a damn 5 days now. It's getting out of hand. I'm like brain rot. This is brain rot. I'm telling you, this is definitely worse than TikTok. I don't know who agrees, but it's like one of those. Oh, it reminds me of those dancing fruit videos. You know, like the cute dancing fruit. That's what it reminds me of. I love it. Level 99. What? What? Oh, I took a screenshot. I accidentally took a screenshot. Someone gave me the fish. Someone gave me the fish. Let's go. Someone gave me the fish. I don't have to find it now. All we have to find is the angelfish. Which I'm hoping isn't going to be too difficult. But I mean, it took us a while to find the beta one. So we'll see. Best day ever? Best day ever. Yeah. Hey, today didn't start out very well. So... What did I do? I don't remember what it was. That's how I know that the day wasn't terrible. I was like, oh, today is just like... going so bad. Maybe it's not a good day. But no. I don't remember what I did wrong. What was it? I genuinely don't remember. I did like one thing and then 5 minutes later I did something else. And my mum was like, oh, that's a good start to the day. I'm like, But no, today's been fine. I don't remember it. Burnt toast, right? Burnt toast theory every time. Ever since I heard the burnt toast theory, I've just been like, on it. Like, oh, it happened for a reason. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Everything's fine. Oh, I just realized as well, I've had Discord Nitro for like a month. And I don't really use Discord much, but I like to have like the cute stuff, you know? I like the cute stuff. And I think I've lost it. If not, I'm about to lose it. And I'm sad. I'm sad. I like it. My header on the Discord right now, like my mini profile thing, is the Tangled gif where she's like swinging around the tree. And I don't want to let that go. I want that there forever. My Eurostar train to Paris got cancelled. And I was actually chill about it. Wow. You've got good control. Good control. What did they do about it? Was it just like delayed then? Or did you get like a what's the word? A refund. I think they call that grow up. Yeah, definitely. I used to be terrible. The whole thing around burnt toast theory is just quite literally the thing of, hey, my toast burnt. But I missed being in a dangerous situation, or like it happened for just a reason. It doesn't have to be a dangerous thing. It's just like you missed out something that could have happened instead. Your burnt toast is not the worst thing that could have happened, right? I used to cry over everything. And I mean everything. I mean like full-on cry. So like, I don't do that anymore. I'm just like, okay, it's fine. Move on. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. You're okay. Yeah. Going September now? Wow. So did you not end up going then? That sucks. Worst things in the world, you know. Yep. 1000%. I remind myself of that now. It's like, oh, my toast burn. Oh no. I'm not gonna cry about it. I would have cried about it. Don't cry about it now. I just breathe, and we realize it's not so bad. Yeah, I spent an hour making food and I dropped it on the floor. Okay. Oh well. So I used to be very particular with like, oh, this thing went wrong. Like with my grades and stuff. Like, I'm doing a degree. It is difficult. So difficult. Like, it's not level 100. Oh my god. It's not easy at all. I'm not gonna lie. It's difficult. But it's like, I'm not getting the best grade, but I'm getting the best grade that I can get. And so, like, I have to remind myself of all these little things. I'm like, okay, but you're doing good. Some people wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. And I'm doing it. And I'm doing it just right. Just fine. I'd be more bothered about that toast on the train, but food, you know. Yep. You missed the train, but your toast burnt. Your toast burnt for a reason, right? But I missed the train. No, no, no. The food matters more. Ah, there's more. Damn it, we gotta do more. I was like, I'm out. That's the right mindset. Definitely, definitely. I'm a lot more positive these days. Like, at school, my mum was always like, oh, you got, you know, like, a standard grade. She was always so happy about it. I know a lot of parents can be hard on kids, being like, you know, like, I've done all this to help you get, like, where you are and stuff, and yet you get bad grades. I'm like in America, it's a big thing. But my mum, no matter what the situation, has never been like, you could do better. She's like, oh, you did great. Like, you actually, you know, you passed, or you almost passed. That's better than almost not passing, like, at all. Like, I could get, like, 5 marks off passing. She'd still be like, you tried your best. It's okay. Like, I failed all of my GCSEs but one. And she was like, look, we'll sort it out. It'll be fine. Look at me now. 1 year left of my degree and I'm done. Thank you for the fish. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I love this game. I love this game. Everyone's been so helpful. That's awesome. What's your degree in? So I do it online. A lot of people don't realize that Open University is actually a real university. But I am an Open University student and I do history. So, like, it's very hard hitting. I realized this morning. I've learned so much I didn't know. And it's very hard hitting. Like, it's very sensitive, I won't lie. You read things a lot and you're just like... It's hard to process stuff, which is why I've not had fun. Exactly. Like, I can't say, oh, I've had so much fun. It's been stressful. I've had my downs with it. But I've learned a lot. And that's what I'm happy about. I'm really happy that I decided to do it because the amount of things I've learned is just so good. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's hard, but the thing is as well, it bugs me because history isn't seen as important, which I don't understand. It's seen as being like useless, especially to like, you know, politicians. I'm looking to the Prime Minister right now. A lot of people tend to be like, oh, but we don't need history. We do. And I'm not going to talk about it like in terms of what I've done and stuff because it's, like I said, it's hard-hitting stuff. But we need to know these things. So I'm happy I did it, you know? Even though it's been a struggle, it'll be so worth it in the end as well. So, you know, I'm here for it. I'm thinking, you know, I did good. But what is it like, all the history, like Tudors? What? I wish it was more about the Tudor stuff. That's what I was saying the other day to my mum. We love like the monarchy stuff. That's like our thing in history. That's like what we like kind of geek over a little bit together. Especially the Tudors. I am well, not necessarily Tudors. It's more like Elizabethan. So like I guess you could say Tudors because Elizabeth was a Tudor, but it's like a lot of it is more like war and not necessarily politics. The module I'm doing right now is empires, so it's very, I guess you could say it's quite political. But yeah, it's a lot of, you know. Hang on. I'm gonna go then. I think we'll leave it there then, maybe. My sis wants to go to Hampton Garden with her. You've been there. I have not. Where is that? Whereabouts is that? My mum always asks me to go to places, especially living in Yorkshire. There's so many, what do you call them? Like manor houses and stuff, like stately homes. And there's like so many places nearby that are like, you know, historical and stuff. And so it's very like, she always wants to go to places. And I'm like, they're always haunted, okay? And like my mum is very into like the paranormal stuff. She loves it. And I'm just like, it's cool and all that you like it. I don't want to go somewhere that's haunted. But I do. I give in. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll go. But yeah, we've been to quite a few places. But there's places she really just want to go, and I'm like, I'll give in. I'll go. You know, it's creepy. I don't like it. I'm like, why must everywhere be haunted? But I'm pretty sure most places are haunted. It is just like a thing of knowing it. Like if you know that something is like, oh, Hampton Court. Yeah, I've not been there. If I had, I wouldn't have shut up about something like that. I don't know like how far that would be from me without doxing myself. Probably, yeah. Oh, opposite side of the country. I have not been there and probably will not be going there. Oh, I didn't mean to come here. I meant to go to Zeki. I want to sell them straight up. Honestly, a lot of places near me are not like well-known places. They are just like random historical places that have, you know, like families that used to live there and stuff. And they were like, not like very big known names, but they were obviously rich families. But they're still interesting. Like they're people that weren't particularly known or remembered, but they're like, they had this grand place, which is just crazy to think. So like we always go to stuff like that. We're like the ones that stand and read the little posts. And Cambridge to only a couple hours. I mean, it's like 5 hours away from where I am. It's kind of impossible to go. I would love to go to those kinds of places though. It's definitely like the types of places I would love, but unfortunately nearby, it's just like a lot of the stuff near me isn't stuff I know about and care about off the top of my head. You know? So it's kind of, oh, we are gonna go do more by the way. And try and find people that have any, or if I have any. But yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know anywhere really, except for a couple of places. The good old castle. I would do anything. So I don't know if you watch period dramas. I'm gonna probably assume not. A lot of people don't. But my mum started watching Outlander, and she got me to watch it, and I became obsessed. And so now we're both obsessed. And like we have this thing where I've always wanted to go to Scotland anyway. I've been there once, but I don't remember it. But I want to go there to look at certain things. Now that I watched Outlander, I'm just like, it costs so much. They do tours as well, where it's like guided or like you guide yourself, whatever, but they are like expensive. And to like get to all these places, insane. Like, but it would be so good. It would be a dream. My voice is going. 31,000. And 31,000, the Outlander tour. I don't know how much these things cost, but they're expensive because they're already a tourist attraction, but then you put like a TV show based there. It's like, it costs a lot. But maybe one day. Maybe one day. Oh, we need to make new bag. Then we're gonna go back and see if anyone... That's not the bag. That's the bag. No, it's not. That's not the bag either. What am I doing? I'm going insane. My notifications are going wild right now. Bag, bag, bag. Bag. Okay. Right, we have that. Do we have... Let's go and see... Let's go see where On is. See if we can buy any. I don't know how many I have. I might have like a 1 or 2 that I can buy, which is worth at least something. But I want more. I'm only at 600k. That's like nothing. We can buy 1. 1. 1's not enough, but if I contribute 1, then other people might be like, okay, I'll put mine down. You know? Wait, that's new. She's never done that before, right? I don't think so. I don't know if like me on 1.4k. I'm obsessed. It's bad. I'm obsessed.
I got even more fun planned.
I don't even know what to do with it all. You can't even do too much with it because you need to... You quite honestly need to... There's limits, basically, on stuff. And they put limits on things, so you can only do so much of something anyway. Like, I'm probably never gonna run out. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably never gonna run out of essence ever again. So that's good. We don't have to worry about it. What is this notification? Oh, Witchbrook. Witchbrook. Witchbrook news. Oh my god. Hello? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so excited. Honestly, the joy I felt for Elderwoods, you know, like when I first walked in through into Elderwoods, I almost cried. That's what we're going to be like at the end of the year when we play Witchbrook, because you guys are going to see the live reaction, okay? You're going to see the live reaction. I nearly cried at Elderwood. I probably will cry at Witchbrook. It's so beautiful. I'm just like... I can't help it. I can't help it. It's too beautiful. And like, I've never played anything else on stream. I tried to play Dreamlight Valley and it just didn't feel right. And it didn't really work. Right? Yeah, Witchbrook is coming in winter. Winter. That's what they've said. Wait, are we at the right place? Yeah. Witchbrook is winter, and so is Loftia. So Loftia has actually got like a more like definitive, like, hey, the game's coming out at this time. Witchbrook are like, hey, it's been like 10 years and we're a non-crunch studio, and I'm like, that is so amazing. I love that they're non-crunch, by the way. Like, they have no deadline or anything. So I'm thinking the game's fully finished. They're just polishing things. Because we got nothing for years. People thought the game had been cancelled. And I was like, don't tell me that. I will cry. No. It's coming. We are getting so many little things. Look, we just got this, like... We just got, like, our... You can't really see it. You can't really see it. But it's, like, the first dateable character in the game. And they've shown gameplay. There is gameplay. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. I just... Oh, I can't wait for the day that we're playing it. I'm gonna put... I only have... Oops. One flip, but... 2 frogs. Worth asking. But yeah, I'm gonna be definitely, we can definitely play Loftier on stream because as long as you've got a PC, you can play. And it's going to be one of those situations where I can play with you guys just like with PALIA. It's going to be the exact same feel as PALIA, but without the magic as much. I feel like it's without the magic, it's basically that, but without the magic. So like we'll be able to play on stream and play together, but I'm also thinking with Witchbrook, I make 2 separate characters. One for on stream where we play like multiplayer, because I'm not sure it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be like you can play with your friends, but only the people that you created it with. I'm not sure how it works. But we can play that on stream together, but I have one I can play off stream too, because it's a very story-based game, I think, and I don't want to do what I do with PALIA. I could have had so much more content on the stream, and I didn't play on stream for like months. So I did all the important stuff off stream, and I could have spent all that time doing it on stream, and I didn't. Bots be gone. Bots be gone. Possible ban evader. How is that possible? It's a literal bot. Oh, damn it. There's no one here. What time is it? Oh, it's 2. Damn it. Oh, we do need one more beta, though. Maybe I go fish for it? I don't even know. Because the only other thing we needed was the angelfish, and it's the wrong time. It's between 3 and 6 a.m. Shall I reread that? Maybe it's not. It's 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. with glowworms. They're worth 780 gold for a starred fish. Hello? Hello? How much has this wiki been updated now? Like a lot? We have infected essence and everything on here. Oh, I'm obsessed. No one will ever understand this, okay? I have, like, the most odd obsessions. Why do I love Wikipedias? Like, the gaming Wikipedias. Why am I obsessed with them? Like, if a game has a good gaming wiki, I'm like, I'm playing it, right? I don't know what to do here. I'm waiting around. Does no one want to do it? Do we maybe do one on my own and see if people come? I think I might do that. But yeah, I'm obsessed with PALIA Wikipedias. I don't know what to do. I like see a Wikipedia I like the look of and I'm like, what's the game? Tell me right now. Love it. Obsessed. Okay, I'm putting it down. People want to join, they can join. But I haven't got time to lose. Damn it, not the tree coming back. How did it spawn that quick? Wait, have they patched it? If they've patched this within like the last 5... Okay, why are all the blue frogs spawning? I don't know, what is this? Am I being trolled? Oh, they're there. No, they're not. I glitched the glitch. I glitched the glitch. I glitched the glitch. What the hell? What the hell? Why are you guys spawning? You're the wrong ones. It's supposed to be butterflies and then it's supposed to be frogs, but the good frogs. What? Where are all the other frogs? I broke the game. The game was already broken, but I broke it again. Wait, like nothing is spawning now. What? I'm so lost. I'm so lost. I don't know what's going on. Stop spawning in my face. What? I know sometimes people say you need 2 lures, otherwise it's useless, but like... Usually they spawn halfway through the lure, like what? What in the... PALIA broke their own game, so I broke it again. Oh no. I glitched the glitch. Kind of annoying. Look. Like, what is happening? There's nothing spawning. I think they fixed it. Did they fix it? I think they fixed it. I think they fixed it. Either that or I broke the game more. Hang on. I'm confused. My lid didn't even last. Well, we wasted that then. That sucks. They haven't put anything in Discord. I feel like they just fixed that without telling us that they were fixing it. This is all I got from that. That didn't last very long, did it? Oh, this is like, I should sue. I should sue for that. That is like, that just seems illegal. What did I just do? Hello? Now what? I have like no money. No, what do I do? Okay, okay, what time is it? Let's actually go back and see what I need for the next bag upgrade, because we're just gonna upgrade this bag. And then we'll focus on the other stuff. But we're gonna do this bag first, because it's like the most important one. And we'll see what I need for the other one. Maybe we can fish for that while we wait for the other one. Because right now, no one is here. If anyone calls it out, we like run. We like a run for our lives. We get here ASAP. Central stables. Central stables, please. Not home. Thank you. Oh, I almost clicked it. Does it tell me what I need for it, or do I need to look online? Oh, it tells me. Okay, muskin, elderflower, mermaid. A mermaid! How do I get a mermaid? Let's see. I'm gonna check Discord and see if they did a hotfix. They haven't done it. There is nothing anywhere to suggest that they've done a hotfix. No one's typing in any of the channels to say that they're doing a hotfix. This is ridiculous. What do you mean? I'm pretty sure they fixed it out of thin air. Okay. I need that fish. Everything is on here. Let's go. All day. It is all day. It is worth nearly 2k for a starred version of this mermaid. That is insane. Okay, so we need to find somewhere which is close by. We can do inside the bottom of the cave. Down here. Okay, let's go there. Okay, let's fast travel. Oh, and in fact, we should probably... Let's go and find the loot piles, actually, while we're at it. Right? Like, that makes more sense. We'll just, like, run there and see if we find it on the way there. Because I could do with them. Also, I'm probably gonna eat. I haven't eaten in days. My courage is gonna disappear soon if I don't eat. Okay. I don't see the pile around here. Is there some places that it spawns? Like, I don't know where they spawn. I don't even do the Killimer ones or anything. I don't do any of the loot piles, but I need to start doing them for the artifacts. I need to. Apparently we fish here with... Fish with a glowworm. So a glowworm can be caught here any time of the day. We'll see about that, won't we? How do I fish in this? Am I in the wrong bit? How do I fish? Surely I can't fish in this. What? I'm like, hang on a minute. It's not even like toe deep. Oh, it's actually knee deep, but you know. This is not correct. It says, is this a fresh water? Is there anywhere else around? Maybe up there? How do we get to that? It says we can do it here, but I just don't know how. There's nowhere deep enough to actually fish. How do I get to the other side? Up there? Oh no. Oh no. Okay, we'll fly. We'll fly. Oh, no we won't. No, we won't. We'll climb up the middle. I will get there eventually. I just need fresh water, and apparently this is fresh water, but it's not deep. Oh, wait, is it this? Oh, this is just the other one. Okay, let's see. If I can catch myself a mermaid. Drown myself. Catch myself a mermaid. Sounds like the same thing to me. Hello? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Oh! 3 things happened at once! 3 things happened at once! Hello! Hello! Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. I hope your stream went well. Let me stop myself from fishing. I hope you guys have had a great day. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Everyone's picking their shrooms. Love to see it. Love to see it. Hello! I love your emotes. They're so cute. The pink cow. I love it. I love it. Hopefully your stream was really nice. What game were you playing? Were you playing PALIA? Were you playing PALIA? Has the game been treating you well? Hopefully it's been treating you well. It's not been treating me the greatest. I won't lie. But we're getting there. We'll get there. It was. You were. What have you been doing in the game? We've been trying to do frogs because I kinda spent loads of money. So we went back, we basically sold all the frogs last night. We did like a 3-hour party for hang on, let me get the radar message up. I'm so sorry. Is it going through? It's not going through. It's not going through. It's not going through. Please tell me that went through. It did. It did. There we go. The shout out went through, and so did the command. Yeah, basically we did loads of frog party. We did one last night. It was like 3-hour long. The whole stream was not planned correct. And then we sold all the frogs, and I got 1 million. I got 1 million gold. And then today we were like, let's go buy loads of stuff. And now there's no frogs spawning, and there's no one doing the frogs. So we got a bit unlucky, but it's okay. I know it's a T-Swift cardigan. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep. I usually do wear one of them. I have like 3. No, how many do I have? I have like 4 of them, include this one, I think. I usually wear one on stream every stream. I can't help myself. It's like my, I live in it at this point. I live in these. Hope you get some frogs ASAP. Well, right now we're trying to find the angelfish. We just started trying to find it. Oh, and Raz, hello. I hope your day's been well. I'm here. We can do frogs. Ooh. Ooh, do you have lures? I don't have any left. If you do, I will literally leave the angelfish till like 5 weeks from now. I don't care. I will leave it, and I will never find the fish. We'll never complete the 3rd bag of illusion. I do not care. I need more money. Cute, I have two. I need to get them out. I have the Torture Poets one, the Speak Now one, the Midnight's one, and then this one. I didn't really wear them too much till now because I was a little bit worried about destroying them or anything. But yeah. Sorry to read and run, but have an amazing stream. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good day. I have followers on me, but can go get more. Ooh, if you can, and you do want to do it, let me know. Let me know. And I will join you. 1000%. I need like 300k, and then I'm happy. And I'll stop doing it. After the stream, if I can make 1 million again, I will. I'm sure I'll be back. That's nice to hear. Wait, I think I actually recognize your name from someone else's stream. I'm not too sure, but I think I might. So that's actually really funny. Twitch is such a small place in this community. It's so funny. Just looked here about I have pots, HEDS, and Endo too. Such a small world. It's such a small world. Well, I hope it's not flaring up today, and I hope you're doing well. Currently, I'm in a good place, but you know, it's a little rocky. It is such a small world. It really is. I feel like within this, at least in the Palea community, I've noticed a lot of people with the similarities too. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think we might be doing frogs. Maybe we might be doing frogs. And thank you, hope you're doing well too. I am. Well, I say I am, but I'm having slight problems, but nothing that's going to stop me from streaming, so that's good, right? We get through. We get through. We don't push through. We get through, but we don't push through. We stop when we need to. I think we're going to do frogs. I don't know if anyone else is online right now and wants to do frogs. But if you do, you can add me as a friend and we can go do some frogs. Yesterday we had the entire server just sat there doing frogs for like 3 hours straight. It was kind of hectic. And it wasn't planned. It was not planned. We had planned to do quests. I was like, we're going to go get all the furniture. We're going to donate the essence to the furniture. And, yeah. We didn't. One person was like, hey, maybe you should do the frogs, right? I was like, no, I'm gonna do quests. And they were like, are you sure? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go do it. So we spent 3 hours. We made like 800k in that 3 hour period too, something like that. It was insane. Is this the mermaid? This isn't the mermaid, right? There's just no way. No, it's the turnpike, of course. That's iconic. It really was. And it was fun too. I was a little bit against thinking maybe I'd do it on stream or not because it might have been boring to watch, but it was so fun. We had like 6 people in stream that were playing at the same time as me too. And we were all like in a group and stuff. It was so fun. And then obviously loads of people just turned up and we all joined in and it was so nice. So nice. We found new friends. So this game's so good for finding new friends. Hello. Is it Destiny? Am I okay to call you Destiny? I like to make sure people's names are said right. If anyone is curious about how to say my name, it's CosyKas. I made a mistake yesterday. And I called myself Cass. It is not Cass. It's Kas. Dynasty. Dynasty. Yeah, sorry. I'm bad with reading. Dynasty. My bad. But hello. I hope your day is doing well. And if you're playing the game, I hope it's treating you well. 1k smoke bombs will be enough. Yes. How many do I have? Enough. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Also, to let anyone know, if you are here right now, my follower alerts are anon. So you can chill. You can lurk. We like lurkers. You do not have to talk if you're not comfortable. Yeah, we have a lot. Look, how many do I have? This is 8, right? So like, yeah, we we have enough too, I think. I just started this 3 days ago and I'm obsessed. Oh, you've just started it? If you need any resources, let me put the command in chat. I do have a command for all the resources that I personally use. Let me stop talking while I type it out. Did it do it? No, it didn't. I did it wrong. There we go. I did it in the end. If you need any like sites to help you with anything, those are the sites I personally use. The game is very complicated and lore heavy, so if you need that little helping hand, it's probably the best places to go to. I would not be able to play any games personally without the Wikipedias. I need those Wikipedias to help. I need it. Nice, and yes, they're helpful. Yeah, I would 1000%. Oh, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm like looking and like the alerts and stuff are just going so quick in my like activity feed. Hello, friend. I see you. I see you. Thanks for the look. I appreciate it. I'm away to Elderwood with 10 honeyless. Let's go. Let's go. I'm gonna invite and then join. I'm gonna join and we're gonna go mad. Do we have 1k smoke bombs? So good. And then once I've done max, I will add you back. I will add you back. I add anyone back who I know from the stream. If you add me in game and you haven't spoken yet, I would just like appreciate a little quiet hello, like a little lurk, redeem, and I'll add you in the game if you want to join. I just like to know who you are before I actually add anyone back. But yeah, I do add everyone back as long as I have space. I don't know if I have that many friends. I don't know how many we can have. I'm on the same way. Okay. Wait. Guys, I'm lost. 200 cap? I don't know how many I have. I don't know how many I have. These are my friends. Either these are my friends. We can't even look at the friends properly. It's like bugged. They changed it or something. But yeah, I just like to know who you are before I add you back. I've had experiences in other games where I'm kind of like... I'm kind of a bit like, I don't know who this person is, and then they turn out to be mean. Not in this game, in other games. Not in this game. This game is nowhere near like that. Definitely not. But other games, yeah. I've had bad experiences. Wait, where are we going? I can't get out again. I'll do some more if I remember. My eye is Kia Brent. Okay, I'll know it's you because of the key, so don't worry about it. I'll add you back. I definitely feel you there. Really, Valorant is like that. Well, I had an experience in streaming. I have another account that I don't use anymore on Twitch that I basically just had a kind of a bad experience with another streamer added me as a friend. Wait, where are we going? I don't know where this place is. I forgot. Been there all day, but I forgot. This way. I basically was streaming one day for like 10 hours and I was having fun and this other streamer added me in game and they were just harassing me with their friends. So now I'm kind of like, yeah, let me know who you are and I'll add you back. I definitely know who I'm playing around. Yeah, definitely. Like I say, with PALIA, it's not really a problem. It's honestly perfectly fine. But in other games, it's given me a little bit of trauma. It's given me a little bit of trauma. Yeah, like I say, you don't have to like, you know, talk in chat. You can just like drop a quiet hello. That's why I made that command. I realized a lot of people don't really like to be known. And that is completely fine. Wait, did my pie request not come through? I left the party. Wait, what? I created a party, I invited them to the party, and I left the party. My party's glitched. Again? This happens all the time. So I created a party, I invited you to the party, but then I left the party. That isn't correct. That isn't correct. I will try and invite you and said, okay. Hopefully it works. If not, I'll have to like go home and come back. This happened, I think, with Tony once. Where I had to like go back and come back to the Elderwood. It keeps doing that to me too. It's so annoying. It is so annoying. I hate it. It's like one of the most annoying glitches. I'm like, I'm just trying to play with other people. Please just like let me play with them, you know? Also, I need to go and have dinner and shower, but I will look. Thank you so much for the raid, though. I really do appreciate it. Please have a good rest and look after yourself. Self-care is very, very important. Drink loads of electrolytes. I hope you have a good rest of your day, though. Okay. Okay, let's chop down these trees. Because, ew. We don't want them. And then we can start. The trees bug me like crazy. I cannot see them. I cannot see the frogs. Let's get rid of those. You're so sweet and I'm glad you're ready. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please have a good rest of your day. W red? Definitely W red. Okay, I'm ready whenever you are, Raz. Oh, Kapoo. Oh my god. They spawned! They were bugged when I did it. We were bugged. They were spawning the blue ones. What is this? My account's bugged. I managed to glitch a glitch in PALIA. I love that. No, you don't. No, you don't. I might have 30k essence, but I want more. Give me more. There we go. Ah! Stop jumping around so much. These boys are crazy. Okay, let's pick some up. Level 101. Okay, this is going a lot better than it was when I did it on my own. And this is why I'm not good on my own sometimes. I can't be trusted. Oh my, calm down. Calm down, let me make my bag. Come on. So many of them. I feel like they definitely spawn differently, dependently on how many people are in here. You know? If there's more people doing it, I feel like more of them spawn. Now, I could be making that up. Could be making that up, but I feel like there is quite a few right now. There's definitely quite a few. But when there was a group of 15, this place was packed full of frogs. It was insane. So I'm not too sure how it works. But I think the funniest thing is that this is going to go down in the PALIA history books. Definitely go down in the PALIA history books. You'll look back in like 5 years from now and be like, oh, hello, Tony! Do you need any frogs by any chance? You need any frogs? How's your day been? I hope it's been well. We had an impromptu frog moment again. I spent 500k. And now I need to make it back before they take it out. I'm only doing this once more. I'm saying it now. I'm not doing it again. Okay, more. I'm not doing it again. This might be the last time I do frogs. It might be. Because I need to get quests done. I have not been productive. Slip Katana has even produced merch for the frogs. Merch, you say? Frogs, PALIA, and merch. I might need to go and look at that. That sounds like my kind of thing. I really need to catch one of their streams one day. I have a very particular rotation of streamers right now because I only watch Twitch at a certain time. But I need to check them out. I always see them live before I go live. Yep, it's cool. Ah, I might need to look. I might need to look. I definitely need some kind of like frog. Like a jumper or something that has frogs on it. Just like a very simple thing would be like... I don't own any sort of frog clothing. I feel like it's not... It should be like illegal. Why do I not own a single thing with a frog on it? Except for, you know, like other stuff. I own plushies. I need people to know it. I'm like, I need people to know that I'm obsessed with them. Must have more frogs. I just realized we were talking about, the other day, I remember we were talking about how we... Yeah, I should be able to see it. We were talking about the plushes that we wanted at IRL. And I was like on about Tau and all that, but I'm realizing now I want a Frogbert. Like Frogbert, hello? It got blocked. It got blocked on my end, it got blocked. You can DM it me though, or post it in the Discord if you want. I think you should be able to post it in the Discord. Or I'll just like look later anyway. So I need to see that. It's showing on screen? It's not showing for me. It's not showing for me. I think I'm the only one that should be able to post links. I think. That's a little odd. Which gave you special privileges? Oh my god, they're jumping in my face now too. As you can't see it though. I am a bit confused about that. It's not showing me, it shows the asterisks. You know, the little stars? That's all it shows me. Even anyone... Should it would be you. You would think. You would think. But Twitch is weird. Twitch is weird. Or it might be OBS actually, I'm not sure. I'm using the Twitch's pop-out chat on OBS, so it should show it. Really odd. It's probably a Streamlabs thing. I think it's Streamlabs I have that stops it. How much are we at? Oh, we have a lot already. Also, like, I don't need the special bug bombs anymore. I did the second bag, finally. So now I can just throw bombs at everything. As long as I don't miss. I just missed that. Missed it. I think we're gonna have enough with the lures that Raz has. So that should be good. And then we don't have to do it again, because I'm gonna try not to spend too much. The only problem is, if I get anything now, it's gonna basically make it so that I can't sell it because it's not worth anything, because I don't get anything for it. That's gonna kill me a little bit. I'll put this in Discord. Yes, if it lets you. If it lets you. Do, and I'll have a look. I'm not sure if I turned off links to be posted or not. I don't remember. I used like a template for the Discord because I have no idea what I'm doing with Discord, so I just kind of like use a template for it. Worst case scenario, you can just DM me if you want. I'm surprised there's no one here. Why is no one here? Why is there not a single person? Like, what? It is that DM, that is. Okay, good. Good. I'll have a look. Yeah, it's popped up. I fell again. No! I gotta climb up? Are you kidding me right now? I can't climb up. Are you kidding me? I'm stuck! I got up. I got stuck. So annoying. This cliff, it's in the worst place possible. From there is a pain in the ass. It is! It's so irritating. Like, why am I being respawned in the worst place as well? Respawn me at the shore. Like, it makes more sense. We got there in the end. Yeah, why is there, like, no one here? I'm so confused. Has everyone given up on it? They bought everything they need? There's a person. Oh, they left. Oh. They left. Because I'm not on? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. Like, yeah. When you log on, everyone on PALIA gets told that you're online. And it's like, oh, yeah. Tony's online, guys. Everyone has... You have, like, unlimited resources now. Go catch the frogs. You'll never have to leave. Oh, I got downgraded. Oh, good. The amount of times I've let it downgrade now is just hilarious. It's 5 PM? It's 5 PM? What? What? What is going on? How is it 5 PM? I was like, I'm a bit hungry. I don't know why I'm hungry. I've only been streaming for like half an hour. No. I was there Sullivan this morning before I left. There were 20. There were 20 people? You had 20 people doing it all at once. I've had... Yes? That's so fun. We had quite a few last night, though. We had like 15, 20 people as well. But like, I feel as though today I've only had a total of maybe 5. It's been really quiet. I don't know why, but... When I saw no one was there, that's how it happens. Every time. It's like, you do it on your own and then all of a sudden everyone else turns up. But it's only when you do it. Something once you start it, you use your resources and everyone else shows up. Like right now, I have used 7 today though. And then we sold all the frogs I got from it. Ad start in 3 minutes. I apologize. Oh, I just realized I should come up with a command for the ads rather than just like having a timer on. Why didn't I think of that? See, every stream I think of something new. Without a doubt. Every time. An ad command that I have on my stream deck. Stream deck? Stream deck. Yeah. You're getting confused as to which is what. I'm like, stream deck, Steam deck. I don't have a Steam deck. Now, if PALIA wants to give me the one that they're giving away, then I'll have a Steam deck. I would love a Steam deck. I'm not the fan of Switch now. So, like, I wish I had bought a Steam deck instead of doing Switch. So I was thinking of buying some of that frog merch from Sleep. It really? Is it that good? I will look when we're done. I promise. I'll have a little look. I won't forget. I won't forget. But where are the frogs? Where'd they all go? There's like 5 of them. But is it that good? Is it funny stuff? I keep following so many people on Twitch. I'm like, who's that person that's popping up? Do I know that name? I need to start watching people more. I get like comfort streamers and I like stick to their streams and it's kind of bad because I never like branch out. Ooh, I am very hungry. I don't know why I'm so hungry. I don't know why. I also have no idea what I'm eating after stream either. It might be rice. Like sticky rice. And then maybe like some kind of... I'm not going to say chicken because it's vegan chicken. It's not real chicken, but I call it chicken. But I need more dumplings. We're going food shopping tomorrow. So maybe I get more then. I'm obsessed with them right now. One of the stickers he has says, I want to forge money 25. All I got was a lousy sticker. Oh, wait, it's a sticker that says, wait, ads are about to start. I'm so sorry. I went to, oh my God, Tony. Your keyboard is not your friend right now. I went to Frog Money 2025 and all I got was this lousy sticker. I feel like that's the thing though, they're gonna give us, if they give us anything, it's gonna be a sticker. It's gonna be a sticker. That is it. We either get a sticker or we get nothing. I don't think we're getting anything good from this. I don't think they're gonna give us anything if I'm being honest. Have we got another friend? No, I thought there was another friend. Where is this guy going? Where are you going? Why are you running away like that? Yeah, I thought I saw another person over here, but they're not. That's so weird. Okay. Yeah, my mum said we would try and go shopping tomorrow and come home in time on stream yesterday, so I'm kind of gonna hold her accountable for that. So I should be live tomorrow anyway. Hopefully. Hopefully. That is if they don't put the servers down. Someone should keep in my promise of staying in a stream while working. You lied. You're just like Papa. Wait, did I even say that right? I have barbecue chicken pizza and cozy to take a break. No problem, no problem. I'll go sell everything. Once you need to go. Are you going now? And then I will see if I even need to do any more. I will let you know though. The amount of phone calls I've had to make today. Oh, doesn't sound great. Are you done for the day though? Yeah, we'll go now. Okay, I'll see you later, but I hope your food's good. I hope it tastes real good. If I'm gonna do it again though, I will let you know if you come back into chat. But thank you so much. I appreciate the help. I really do. I've done it at 6:30? What? If you want to do it anymore, I can log in and help you. Ooh, let me go see. Let's fast travel to Zeke and see. And if I do require your help, I will ask for the assistant. 6:30? That sucks. That sucks. Feel sorry for me. Yep. Yep. No, I actually do. I really do. Hopefully the phone calls aren't bad phone calls. Hopefully the people you're ringing are being nice. Most of the people you ring for stuff these days are not great. Oh, there we go. We got there in the end, Raz. Okay, we want to go to Kilima. 30 seconds left on ads. I just have people... Like, I've just gave money people all day. It's just long. Ah, fair enough. Fair enough. Honestly, though, you could be playing PALIA on the side. I saw someone in, I think it was Teddy's stream earlier, Mellow Teddy, and she was like, someone said at her stream that they were... What were they doing? They were working from home, but they were also playing PALIA and watching her stream. And I was like, what are you doing that you're doing all that at once? Like, how? How are you concentrating? Hello? I just gave people money, but... Oh, wait, why did I feel like I came through twice? Oh, the thing disappeared. Ads ended. Ads ended. Let's go. Ooh, Tony. Looking like I might require the help. Maybe. Yeah. I'm gonna need more help. I require assistance. Only if you're available, not if you're like, not if you're busy. Give me a minute. Only if you're sure. Let me go home and repair my bag. But yeah, if you're sure, then 8 people ahead of me right now. Why is the game so busy right now? What's happening? Ooh, and then I'll also check this merch out quickly. Because... Oh no, the top. No, wait, this is funny. Wait. Wait. The meme print. Wait. Wait, all the money. That's a cute top. That's actually cute. Wait. I actually like it. Wait. What? Wait, and the different colors too? I'm not gonna lie. And the cup. Wait, in the frog we trust. Can you guys see that? I don't think you can. In the frogs we trust, PALIA 1%er. Wait, this is so funny. I'm always happy to help you, you know that. Okay, as long as you're sure though. As long as you're sure. Oh, this is too funny. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want the cup. You're looking at the frog merch. I am. I actually think it's hilarious. As long as you're sure. Sure. As long as you're sure. Made you PALIA just so you can invite people. Thank you. Okay, we need to... Sure. As long as you're sure. Okay, we are back. Let's invite... Is 20 online? No. Okay, we'll go to Elderwood now. Wait. Oh, wait peacefully. Because I don't think I need smoke bombs. Cracked up when I saw them. They're actually really good. I was like, oh, you're saying they're good, but are they good? You know, like I don't know. No, that is some of the best like merch, but related to gaming I've seen in a long time. Les, hello, good morning. Happy time zone. I hope your day is doing well. I might buy 2 mugs. Really, 2? My mum's like that. She needs 2 mugs. Like every time she sees like certain mugs, it's only certain ones. She's like, oh, but I need 2 so I have a set. You don't need 2. 11 a.m. in the morning for me. 11. It's 5 p.m. for me. 5 p.m. Although I didn't believe it was 5 p.m. I was like, it's 5 p.m.? Crazy business. This stream has gone so quick. I see a person. Oh. I did see a person. He has 2 different mugs. Oh, that's better then. There's 2 different ones. But I do like the 1%er one. I think that's kind of funny. Frog's not patched yet? They're not. If you're able to get online and you want to, you are free to join. We are supplied with lures from Tony. We just had Raz's now and we have his. A daily shroom. You now have 2. See, it's counting them, Jack. It counts. I had a single box to tick and I didn't tick it. And now it's doing it. Yeah, this merch is hilarious. Like, what's the other mugs here? Frog Money 2025. They're just so funny though. I actually kind of like them. There's 3 mugs actually. One with a stocks meme on it. I love them. They're so funny. Okay. How many Oh, I have loads. I think this will last for the whole thing I need. I need like 300k. So, we're first to the rich 1% in the real world. Oh, yeah. Good point. Oh! I guess I'll whip you while I do with these guys. It'll come through to you, by the way. It did. I accepted it. I should be on your friends list when you log on. When you get like a spare few hours to just do the game, play the game, do it. Because I already know that if you enjoy it, you'll become addicted. That's the thing. There's lots of collecting in the game, and it's a very addictive thing. Very addictive. Look at all these already. But there's no voice chat for us to talk. If you want to play and I'm available to play when you play, we can just do a Discord call. I don't mind. I don't know what to do with all my essence. Neither do I. How much do you have? I have 30k at least. Probably more now, actually. But I have like 32, I think. 32,000. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I've also told my mum that I will teach her how to play PALIA and stuff after I finish my assignment. Because I did feel bad. I was like, oh, I'll teach you. And then I didn't tell her when. We just kind of like left it up in the air. Up in the air and then left it all. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. I won't tell you when though. So I was like, let me get my assignment out of the way and then I'll teach you how to play. Because we need to see if she feels sick from it yet, because she gets motion sickness. And she's seen me play Fortnite before and she gets sick from looking at it. So it's you know, I'm hoping she actually can play it. No, okay, this situation. I've known Jack for like, God, how long has it been? Like 5 years? It took me about 6 months of knowing him and him talking in my Twitch chat for me to play with voice chat with him. That's how long it takes for me to be like able to do it. It's kind of just like a thing that happens after a while. I become okay with it, but it takes me a while to become comfortable with it. It's annoying, but yeah, it took me like, I think 5 or 6 months for me to become comfortable. So now we play like Fortnite a lot and stuff, so. Well, mainly on the weekends now, but we used to play almost every day. Okay. I will. When I'm able to, I will let you know. When I'm able to, I will let you know. I promise. Are we putting another one down? Are we doing another one? Oh, I have loads of friends online right now. Loads of friends online. What are we doing? Does anyone have my lures? We're like milking everyone for their lures right now. Wait, is that all I got? Is that all I got? That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't... I'm confused. I have one space. I think? Yeah, one space. I can invite you. Let me find you. Where are you? You're so far down. Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, they already joined one. They already joined one. Okay. Fair enough. I'm okay, but I'm in one with another one. Hello, friend. I see you. I won't call you out. I hope you're having a good day. Okay. We now have to do barflies. I hate these damn things. I hate them. Bad timing. I know. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, you're back. Hi. I was like, hang on, back timing. Happy Wednesday. Hello. I hope you're having a good day, Moles. I hope you're well. I am doing pretty well. Today's been a good day so far. At the beginning, it was a bit rocky, but, you know, I don't remember why. Some stuff went wrong, and I don't remember what went wrong. So you can't say it's a bad day if you don't remember what went wrong. Just scare them off? How do you do that? I can't do that. Be gone. We want frogs, not butterflies, please. All I need is 300k and I am done. I just want to be done. I'm money hungry and I don't like what I'm becoming. This isn't me. This isn't like me. Run around them? Oh, true. Good point. I just want them gone quick. And if I catch them, it'll be quicker. Right? It'll be quicker. Let's just do it. And it's not like I can't sell them. Because I don't think we're going to make a full inventory of them anyway. Of the frogs. We're probably going to have a couple of rows. So we should be fine. $106? Oh. I keep thinking that the bug, not the bug, the bee. I keep thinking the bee is an actual bug. You know, like I keep forgetting that it's a pet. And I'm trying to capture it every time. I do it to my own as well. Never happened if you can't remember. Exactly. Exactly. I just remember one thing happening and then I told my mum something else happened too. And she was like, oh, you're getting off to a good start today. Now I don't remember it. So today's been a good day. Even though I had to spend the first couple hours of the morning, or the afternoon even, doing my uni work. I keep moping about it. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Why do I have to do this? Why did I sign myself up for this? But a year from now, I will be done. I will be done. Frogs! Yes! Frogs, come on. Make me my last 300k. Finally. But how many? Wait, how many of those did we just catch? How many? Oh, what? But it's okay. We have extra loot. And we have frogs. So hey, at least we got what we need now. One more long run. And then we are done. And I'm going back to doing quests. I swear. I need to be held accountable. I literally just keep doing frogs. The last 3 days have consisted of mainly frogs. I've probably spent 10 hours doing this. I think I've made like 3 million so far. Well, you're studying history. History, it's difficult. It's not easy, but it feels kind of rewarding in the end. Like, learning things. So it's definitely worth it, but it's just very difficult. I've always struggled with education, but I like signed myself up for a degree. And everyone thought I was a little crazy for doing it, but in the end, I have 1 year left. You know, it's been a long 5 years. But this time next year, I'll be done with education for good. For good. No more. But yeah, I have 1 assignment left. And then I am done for a couple of months. And then it starts all over again. I am not picking any of them up, am I? The weirdest thing is, I keep seeing people come online that I haven't noticed online in a while. Since the update. And it's really nice. Like all the alpha players. They're all coming back. Let's go. I love a bit of history. I love history. I just don't particularly love having to do assignments for it. But I've learned so much. I've learned so much. It's not the history I wanted to learn as well. I'm very into my monarchs. I'm very into my monarchs and stuff. And I wanted to learn stuff like that. I was like, oh, if I could do that, it's easy, right? It's not what I'm learning at all. I'm learning about empires right now. But it's I needed to learn these things, right? They don't teach you anything in school. I got taught nothing in history at school. Nothing. I don't remember anything. It looks like you're studying the migration of frogs at the moment. I love that. You're so quick with it, Tony. Honestly, though, the history of frogs would be quite an interesting thing. I would gladly sit and watch a 5-part series about the history of frogs. I love documentaries, so one day there'll be a PALIA documentary about the frogs that took over. Oh, I'm losing my voice again. Not again. Okay. Restart. Restart. I don't know what it is. I think I yap all the time even when I'm not live. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm constantly yapping, even if it's just to myself. And yet somehow, when I'm streaming, my voice just goes. I don't know why. I have no idea. Good practice. No. Problem is, you look crazy though. Honestly, my mom complains about it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if she's watching right now, but I talk to myself all the time, especially when I'm watching, like, I watch a lot of Fortnite competitive. So I watch a lot of, like, gaming tournaments and stuff. And I'm sat there and I'm, like, watching. I'm going, like, why did they just do that? And I'm like, she's like, are you talking to yourself again? I'm like, yeah. What about it? What about it? I don't care. Like, why does it matter? She's like, no, it's fine. It's just a bit weird. But hey, you know, you can't stream if you don't know how to yap at the most weird moment, right? It's like a skill you need. It's a good habit as a streamer. Exactly. Exactly. I think I was just born with it, though. I've always spoken to myself. I've always been sat there watching something, speaking to myself. I don't even just do it with gaming, though, as well. I do it with TV shows, too. Like, I'll be watching a TV show and I'll, like, almost be like those people that do YouTube videos where they commentate what's going on. Tony! You're here. Like, yeah, when I'm watching, like, a TV show and people do videos where they're, like, commentating what's happening and their thoughts on it, I do it without meaning to. I do it without meaning to. Just speaking of thoughts is fun. It is! It is! I like have a little debate with myself. It makes me sound psychopathic, but we're all a little weird around here, so we don't mind, right? It's like I try to explain PALIA to my mum, and sometimes when I'm doing it, because I'm trying to, like, obviously get her into it, and she's just like, "Wait, what? What's that thing you just said?" Yeah. That's a thing in the game. Trying to explain, like, Einar to someone that hasn't played a game, really played a game since the early 2000s or since the Game Boy was a popular thing. Yeah. It's kind of hilarious. The reactions are so funny. Like, I think it comes from being used to getting a response. Yeah. Definitely as well. That probably doesn't help with it. I'm probably, like, waiting for someone to respond and there's no one there. But I love it. If I had it in me to, like, edit things and really give, like, a good opinion on stuff when I'm watching things, I would actually make those kind of videos, like, on a different channel or something. I think that would be really fun. It'd be really fun. I watched someone called, I don't know if anyone knows who this is, but I'm pretty sure is it Dylan is in Trouble? He's hilarious. I love his reactions. He does like full-length videos that are like an hour long. And he just reacts to like films and things. One of my favorite videos he did was watching Encanto. Watching Encanto. He was like, it was so funny. I loved it. I definitely recommend it if you like that kind of content. He has multiple channels too, but that's the one he like watches stuff on. Good movie? It's such a good movie. Although, I did watch Moana 2 the other day. I have to say, Moana 1, like the original film, puts Moana 2 in a bad light. It was nowhere near as good as the original. It was bad, sadly. It was. I was looking forward to it as well. I'm really hoping that, like, some of the other films that Disney are bringing out soon are going to be better. Because I'm looking forward to Lilo and Stitch. I watched that as a kid so much. So much. It was one of the only shows on Disney at the time that were, like, very popular. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's been so long since I watched that guy. He's so funny. I love him. Sometimes I just, like, don't watch his videos for a little bit so I can have, like, stuff to binge. You know? It's supposed to be a series so the characters were met. Yeah! I liked the characters of, like, the way that they were trying to do it. I kind of understood what they were trying to do. Because I watched the film after it was announced that it was supposed to be a series. Like, when people were talking about it, that's when I watched it. But I kind of fell asleep watching it. And I was kind of sad. Like, I love the first Moana film. It was so funny and so good and heartwarming and just everything. Everything you want from a Disney film. And then Moana 2 just kind of ruined the whole thing. I'm like, no. Don't do that. No meaningful dialogue, just songy to song. Yeah. It didn't catch me at all. It didn't catch me at all. Which sucked. I can't remember them. Really. Really. I mean, at the moment when I was watching it, I was like, I kind of understand what they're trying to do. But at the same time, it's just not engaging. There was no engagement there. So that sucked. Okay. I was trying not to pick them all up there so that we didn't lose them. To be honest though, talking about films, since the Wicked film got released, okay, I've never watched Wicked in person. I've never even watched like a recording of the live performance or anything. I never knew about Wicked really before the film came out. I'm obsessed, and when the second part comes out, I'm not gonna be able to shut up. I watched the first part when I wasn't streaming. You guys are about to suffer. I think it comes out in November. So be prepared. Still gotta watch that. Watch it. It's on Prime for rent, I believe. I bought it the minute it came out. I was like, I need to watch it at home. I need to. I'm obsessed with it now. I really do want to go watch it in person though, rather than just watching the film. It's got me fully hooked on the whole franchise. Wait, why does it say you went offline, Raz? Is the game lying? You're stood right next to me. What the heck? I think I saw it on Hulu or something. Oh, yeah. Wait. What country are you in, if you don't mind me asking? You probably already told me, but I might have forgotten. I should make a note of that. It's on the UK Prime. Ooh, okay. It's on... I think it's on Hulu for most people. Like, most countries. So, I don't know if it'll be on your Prime. So. But it's on Prime in the UK, that's all I know. Maybe I'm not really here, that's why it says I'm offline. Are you a ghost? Do you not really exist? Am I talking to a ghost? Guys, it's 5:30. How is the stream nearly over? It's so crazy. I feel like the streams go so much quicker these days, and I don't know why. 3 hours is so short. If only I didn't have a stomach to feed. If only. Those frogs? Yeah. Frogs are life. I am frog. Frog is me. Frog is life. Talking to ghosts might be better than talking to yourself and having a reply. Maybe. Maybe. You probably have a point. At least the ghost is real, right? At least the ghost might actually reply. Dreaming about them yet? No! I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we've been okay. The funniest thing to me, though, is how I did dream about Elderwood, though, before it came out. The night of the Elderwood update, before it came out, I went to sleep and dreamt about it. I dreamt of walking up to the door in Bahari and entering. And it was just so weird. I was like, why am I dreaming about this? Does that make me weird? But then I was just like, eh. I almost cried when we came through the door anyway, so... Maybe I'm a loser and I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Hey, I dream about PALIA and I cry at PALIA. I don't care who knows it. I genuinely did nearly cry when we came through the door, though. It's way more than I expected. What, Elderwoods is? They're all running away from him. Great update, yes. I've heard complaints about it. I've heard people not liking it. I don't quite understand their point. But, you know, valid. You're allowed to have an opinion that is not shared, you know? But I love this. I've had so much fun this last week. It's been so much fun. It's been so much fun. I'm very much looking forward to the next update, though. I'm not gonna lie. This next update is gonna be wild. If we get the animal husbandry thing... Guys... I'm gonna have to name, like, the animals after you guys. Like, if someone subs, I'm gonna have to be, like, naming them after them. Like, oh my god, can you imagine? Got me missing Bahari. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I used to spend most of my time in Bahari and not really anywhere else. So I kind of miss it. Kind of miss it, but I will be going back there for a while. I'm gonna love it at the animal husbandry. I cannot wait. Same. I obviously, like, personally, I haven't played too many games with it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to get into Stardew Valley, but it's taking me a while. But I'm keep going back and I keep playing it. And I play Sunhaven now and again too. And all these games have like the animal husbandry in it. But I just think in Paleo. I think in Paleo it's gonna be so good. Do you mean I don't have to buy milk anymore? I could just like do it myself? Like hell yeah. I want the ability to just like not have to buy things. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to do everything myself and not have to think about anything. I don't have to buy anything. Memorize all the... Oh, North Bahari was my 24/7. Really? I memorize all Proudhorn location spawns by heart and timing. Wow. A true grinder. A true grinder. Love that. I'm not as good as that. Wait, 30 seconds? I knew where to stand so my horn reaches the... That is wild, though. I could never be that kind of a gamer. I'm like a disappointment to gamers everywhere. I'm like, let me go look on the Wikipedia real quick. I was in Raz's stream and I was saying how I am a lazy gamer. I don't learn things myself. I kind of just like look it up. Taking a pit stop to finish my pizza. Yes, get that pizza eaten. We don't want it to go real cold. Although cold pizza is really good too. Plus, you don't really have to catch them anywhere because you get them from us. So, don't worry about it. All good. 30 seconds spawn. 30 seconds to spawn after a kill. Really? That quick? Nice. Yeah. We were talking about it earlier. I am the kind of person that likes to search up the Wikipedia for things. If a game has a wiki GG, I'm sorted. Because you would think I got a second monitor for streaming, right? I kind of did. That was kind of the reason behind it. Kind of. But I kind of also got it so I could have Wikipedia up on the second screen. I love it. Like, the one thing I am going to be obsessed with is the Witchbrook. The Witchbrook with Wikipedia. I'm trying to imagine it. It's going to be so pretty. Like, one of the best ones is the Stardew Valley one. Obviously, like I say, I haven't played it too much, but their Wikipedia, stunning. Stunning. I love it. And another good one is the Sunhaven one. So, I love the farming sim Wikipedias. Perfect. But if a game doesn't have a good Wikipedia, as long as it's a good game, I don't mind. But the Wikipedia is like kind of important. Kind of important. I'm like, please have a Wikipedia. Please don't be a fandom Wikipedia. I hate the fandom ones. Fandom wikis are my absolute pet peeve. The adverts are infuriating. The layout is infuriating. The navigation is awful. That's why I love the GG. That's why I didn't put the fandom wiki link in the resources command. I was like, I'm not putting that there. It's not good enough. I like it. I like it. I'm not gonna tell people to use it. We downgraded again. We downgraded again. Yeah, I will always redirect people to the GG site. Every time. Does it matter which bag I have? Is it gonna cause a problem? If it keeps downgrading? I'm a bit worried. I'm a little bit worried. I think it does, but... Oh, lower catch. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's fine. I'm in a group, it's fine. I did wonder what the reason was for upgrading the bag. I'm not gonna lie. Now I know. I had no idea before now. And they said the good bombs make your bag last longer. Do they? Maybe I should have been using the sticky bombs or something. They do seem to work better with the sticky bombs, actually. Oh, my belly's grumbling. My belly is grumbling, and we have Raz over here eating a, what was it, a barbecue chicken pizza? What I would do for a pizza right now. Oh. I'm dreaming of pizza. I'm now dreaming of it. Maybe they're more expensive though, and you throw so many. True, good point. I had loads made though, so I just used them because they were kind of pointless me having them, so I just used them. But yeah. I mean, we're not going to need them after this because we're not coming back. We're not coming back, okay? We are doing quests. We are doing achievements. We are doing productivity things. I need someone to hold me accountable for that. If I say, guys, let's go frog hunting after today, you guys say, no. No. Go do your quests. And then when I say, no, I want to go frog hunting, you guys say no again. Yeah. Hold me accountable. I don't need to be here after today. Getting out of hand. I don't even know if I have the materials to upgrade the bag from like the lowest. What is this one? Like what's the, is it another? Is there another what's it called? Is there another downgrade? I wonder. There might be another one at least. Uh-oh, we picked them all up. We picked them all up. Not good. Oh, there's still one. There's still one. Yes, let's go. We're okay. We did fine. We did fine. What time is it? Ooh, we have about 20 minutes. We can do a couple more, and then I'm done. How much do I have? Okay, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I have nearly got the right amount anyway. So we'll do a couple more until 6, and then I'll end stream because it's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand. I gotta calm down. Too many frogs. It's almost like it's becoming a problem. It's almost like it's an addiction. I do think I need to make some kind of emote though. I do think I need to make some kind of emote. This has been too funny to not. I made one for the green onion. And now I think the frogs deserve one too. No, it's just think there's too many frogs. You have a good point. You have a good point. I love them. I would probably freak out a little bit if I saw one in real life. I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of these people that loves things in games and freaks out in real life if I see it. But I don't know. Are frogs actually really nice to you, or are they like... Are they mean? Can they bite? I really should learn about that. Really should learn about that. I think I've ever held one. I would have freaked out as a kid if a frog came near me though. Props to devs that the frogs would jump off the cliff. Yes! I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. That is a good point. Because they very easily could have. My ear hurts for some reason. It's my right ear. These last 2 streams. Something's wrong with my headset. Something is wrong with my headphones. I don't know what it is. Maybe my head's swollen. There's gotta be something going on. It feels like the headphones are like sitting weird on them. I don't know, like... I don't know why. They're a little tight. Yeah, they're a little tight, but... I don't know. There's always something wrong. I recommend these headphones so much, but I'm like... I have headache. I have earache. Go. Make your mind up. Make your mind up. Do you recommend it? Do you think it's a bad product? No. Outgrowing headset. Am I going through another growth spurt? Is my head gonna get bigger? I've actually shrunk since high school. I used to be 5'7", and now I'm like 5'6 3/4 or something. I didn't know you were supposed to shrink in your 20s. It's that degree. Blame knowledge. Yes, it's all that knowledge that I've definitely remembered. No, I do know a lot of things I didn't know before. Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. Blame the knowledge, not the gaming addiction. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Gaming addiction is a very serious thing. I do not have a gaming addiction. I don't. I have a big love for games, but I'm not addicted. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else was here earlier when I was saying I applied for a thing, like a creator thing, and it asked about my community. And I told them you guys were really, really nice. Like, really, really nice. I told them that you were amazing people. So, if they come by and they see the stream, you guys better be on your best behavior. I'm joking, you guys are great. Go plant yourself in some compost, that might help you grow some more. Ooh. Ooh, maybe. I just don't know what it is. I remember in maths, I was like 16, like it was my last year of school, and we measured our height. And I remember being taller than most of the boys, at 5'7", like it was considered tall. And now I'm like going to the doctors and they're like, oh, you're 5'6¾", you're 168 centimeters. I'm like, sorry, what? What? Hello? High expectations? Oh no, you guys don't have to worry about it. You guys don't have to worry about it. I told them the truth. I told them the truth. I told them we like to yap. We like to yap, and that you guys are really, really nice. Time of day matters on height. Does it? Does it actually, or is that a joke? You stretch in your sleep? Am I being trolled, or is that real? Are you trolling me, or is that a real thing? End of day gravity pulls you shorter. There's no shot that that's a real thing. You are taller than when you first wake up. So you guys are being dead serious. It's true? What? What? That's so weird. So maybe I am 5'7". Who's gonna know? Maybe I should just tell people I am 5'7". I'm still taller than the average woman. So like, to be fair, doesn't matter too much. I'm tall either way. As long as I don't shrink too much. Although I do wonder how much I will shrink at some point. Because at some point in your life you do shrink. A little bit. But I do wonder how much I'll shrink by. It's not so much stretch, it's the discs in your spine being compressed by the end of the day and expanding while sleeping. I wonder if that's true for me though. Because I'm hypermobile. I wonder if it doesn't do that. I wonder if it just like acts differently. I don't know. Maybe. Interesting. Short gesture height is never in my mind. Aww. No, I wish I was short. I wish I was short. My mum's short. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. I apologize if you're watching, but it's cute. I love how cute short people are to me. I'm like, you are my like, I want to be short. I hate being the like height I am. I would do anything to be a short, cute person. Like, I'm just like, I was taller than all the boys. Now, I know that guys grow a bit shorter than girls do. And usually in high school, the girls are taller until like the last year or something. And all the boys have a big growth spurt. It did happen. But, I don't know. I was always taller than... I was one of the tallest, I think, for a good couple of years of school. There's like shin surgery. I've seen that. That looks painful. I would never think that that would be like someone's first choice. That has to be like a last choice situation. There's no way. Have I even got... How much space have I got? Ooh, maybe we don't. I don't think I'll fill the whole inventory before I end, but it will definitely fill like a good amount. Walking would be hard. It seems like a very long recovery, right? Just like with like knee surgery and things like that, I would assume the shin surgery is like very difficult too. I've seen videos of it where people are recovering afterwards and I'm just like, no. I'm glad I'm tall if being small makes me want to do that. You know? Oh, it's getting more difficult to catch them. Because my bag's broken. Damn it. I almost have... In fact, I have the lowest bag. I just realized I have the lowest bag. That's why I'm struggling. Oh, wait a second. I did this to myself. I did this to myself. I gotta upgrade now. Look at this! How difficult this is! Holy shit! Oh my god! What are we doing? Why? I thought it was them that were being hard to catch, but now they're just being like annoying. I can't catch any of them. Everyone is online. Either that or the game's bugging. It's telling me they're all online when they're not. You know, keeps telling me people are logging off when they're not. Okay, this might be the last one I do, guys. It might end the frog hunt in here after this one when it's done. Because I'm gonna have to go repair and stuff anyway. It's basically useless me doing it with the lowest bag. It's kind of impossible. But we'll go and sell them and do some little things before I end stream, don't worry. Well, half the tours I'm back to Midship back to. Really? Yeah. Oh, hello! Hello, I only just noticed. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there. My apologies. Guys, I'm out. I'm out. I think I'm done. I'm out of my bag. I'm out of my bombs. I'll wait till it's finished so I can collect the extra loot. But I think I'm finished. I've let the frogs bleed me dry. What is this? This is insane. What have I become? A money hungry, frog hungry. I don't know. This is ridiculous. All this and for what? A couple million? Ugh. Maybe we get more? Yeah. Out of bombs? Same. I'm run out of everything, but I am done. I'm just waiting to see if like Raz catches any and then I can stop. Just so I can take advantage. I'm sorry. Ooh. I just noticed someone went live. Maybe we raid them. We'll see. See who we're raiding. I just threw 1,600. I threw about 1,000. Hello. Yeah, we are insane around here, okay? But we're done. We are done. We're done. This should be the last time I ever do this, okay? We need to play the game and not just catch frogs because it's getting out of hand. So, went through Rule 3 1,300. I went through all of this. So, however much that is, I don't know because I can't do maths. I'm terrible. That is how much we went through. So, it's needing to get my people ready for this. Oh god. Good luck. Accidentally my phone die. Oh no. I rarely do that. I rarely do that. My phone dies maybe once a week, if that. 1,800? That's bad. Just keep going until it's fixed. Yes, I could, but I'm kind of like thinking I stop because I haven't done anything all week. And I don't really have anything to buy now. And I have no inventory space anyway. So there's no reason for me to, right? But I am going to go back to Zeki. Bye-bye. Thank you though, guys. Thanks for the help. I appreciate it. Someone is a frog addict. We will see what happens, okay? This did last the whole stream, and I don't want to just stream this because it's getting a little bit annoying. Oh, let me. I'm off now. Yeah. I want to start doing quests and stuff again because I do love doing this, and maybe we can do it at the end of streams or something until it gets removed if it doesn't get removed tonight. But yeah. Maybe we do it at the end, not the full stream. Yeah, I think. Do we think that maybe might be a good compromise? Do we think that might be a good compromise? Maybe tomorrow and Friday we do kind of like... We do some quests and stuff we need to do. And then we can maybe do half an hour of like, you know... Maybe do like half an hour of frog hunting. If it's still in. What do we use essence for? We can use it at anything that's in the stable. Like any of the shops that are in the stable. So you can buy like mystery bags and make money from them. They do like starstone bags and stuff like that. Or if you need any more artifacts, you can buy the bags. They do, annoyingly, they do actually cap out, but I think the cap gets removed. Ads are about to start in 3 minutes as well. I will end the stream after the ads because I'm thinking we might be raiding into someone. So I will leave it until after the ads because I won't be done before the ads. Oh wait, we can snooze them actually. Okay, we'll snooze the ads and I'll be super quick. I'll be super quick. But yeah, we can use them for anything in the stable. The Elderwood stable. Let me sell these super quickly because I don't want ads to start. I forgot I could snooze them though. Can I snooze ads twice in a row? Like straight after each other? Oh, guys. Are we just about to hit it? I have jam to sell too. This is ridiculous. That's another 208k for me. Oh. I don't know how much I got there. Like 300k. I'm capped out again. Oh god. Sounds good. Maybe save essence for later updates. True. I have like 40, 50k now actually, I think. So we have a lot. We're gonna put it in and we'll see. Oh, probably more than that. Probably more than that. 40,000! There's still a hidden section. There is. Maybe we need it for that. Maybe spend like half of it, but keep the other half. 3 times for having to run ads. Oh. Oh. So I can keep them going. Okay, I will get Twitch up and see. Like, oh, we just did a new achievement, guys. New Twitch achievement. What is it? Stream for 12 unique days in the last 30 days. Let's go. Okay, let's see. Close my own stream. What are we doing? Oh, okay. Should we send you guys into this person? Ah! We send you guys over to someone. I don't want to just end stream. I'm gonna send you guys to this person because I haven't really gotten a chance to watch them. And yeah, let's read them. Let's see if it works. It works. Okay, there we go. 3 times. Oh, take care, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much. Let me mute the stream. I can't hear you guys. I hear you guys. I can't hear myself talk to you guys. Have a good rest of your day. I will be live again tomorrow at 3 p.m. BST as long as we get home on time. My mum did promise we will be home on time. So I will be live at 3 p.m. BST as usual. And we will be actually doing something productive tomorrow, okay? I need you guys to hold me accountable. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to take a look at why you couldn't see the link. Ooh, good point. Good point. Thank you. Say hello to your I will do. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. And that's the wrong one.